So talk about being drafted in the OHL and the NHL.
Yeah, what an exciting time. I know we touched base on this a little bit before. I mean, I had such high hopes in my draft to the OHL to go in the first round, top 15, and I really slipped through the cracks, and I ended up going, I think, in the seventh round to the Knights. And it took me a couple of years to crack the roster there, and I had some hard times. I didn't know where my career was going to go. You saw other guys that weren't getting drafted high and their career was slipping away. But then on the other side, as I saw guys who, went in the first two rounds that weren't having success. So I really buckled down and I had a great training camp with the Knights the one year and I ended up making the team. And, you know, I finally got my chance. I think it was mid-October where I was really starting to play a lot. And I got a hat trick that this one game in October. So it really gave me the confidence, that year. But my play started to change a little bit, and I remember Mark Hunter and Dale Hunter just sitting me down one day during the game, and I just said, "Look, if you're not going to play the role why why we signed you, then we don't need you." So right after that, I stuck to the simple game, and that's what propelled me to the next step, getting drafted to the Rangers. The Rangers signed me and drafted me because I brought a physical game, simple game, and it was consistent for them, and that's what they needed. So I find that your role gets shaped throughout your career, especially in the in the OHL in the OHL days, because the NHL wants you for a specific role. They don't want you to do everything. It's just not possible.
Yeah. Yeah, there's only so few players that do everything, but yeah, exactly. They usually are shaping you for the specific role, especially for you in your lucky case that you got to be coached by and managed by the Hunter brothers, like you said. They're big,
Great coach.
respected hockey name.
Yeah,
They knew and understood what it took to get to the next level. Also, too, obviously, they know how to coach it of what's next. I find, some coaches or even some parents, they try to give their advice to their players or kids, and they don't really know what's next. They're like, oh yeah, just
yeah,
do this, but there's a progression to it, right? It's not just going from let's say a lower end player to a superstar. There's levels to it. You go from a lower end
absolutely.
player to getting more ice time, finding, adjusting to the game and that role, and then you become a better player, good player, and then you can be a great player. It's not just
Absolutely.
happen like
I
that.
remember when I signed with the London Knights, we had a meeting with Dale Hunter and my family, and he doesn't speak a lot. He's very he was tough back in the day when he played, and he just said point blank to my parents, "Look, if Jason goes out there and fights, I'll put him on the power play, and he'll play more. That's the type of player I wanted him to be." And I was confused for a while because I was a goal scorer in minor hockey, like
Yep.
fighting that stuff was the last thing on my mind. And sure enough, I would fight and I'd be on the power play. And they were such great coaches. I was really lucky to have played for them.
What it sounds like too, differentiating all coaches and stuff, it sounds like they were very clear and communicative with what they wanted from you. Um,
Absolutely.
you fight, you're on the power play, first line power play. And given that team, that London Knights organization has been very, very good for many years, and with top talent, playing in the NHL, playing pro hockey all over. Yeah, so to be on when you fight to get on the first power play, that's pretty lucky to even have that situation and
For
opportunity.
sure.
But yeah, that's what it took for you to get into the pros and probably drafted by the Rangers. Fifth round, I think is what we're talking about.
Yeah, I should remember this, but I
Fifth
think it was
round
fifth
to the
round.
Rangers, and another big organization, popular, known worldwide. And yeah,
I guess one thing I would point out is I was drafted as an overager, and that really doesn't happen often. Um, a lot of overagers aren't necessarily drafted. Organizations like to take kids younger and develop them, and it really just shows that if you don't get drafted in your draft years, it's still possible. And then the other thing I was seeing was guys not getting drafted and then signing big NHL contracts in their overage year because now they're eligible to all 32 teams or whatever it is. So getting drafted is just not the end of the world. It's just a stepping stone.
Yeah. Young kids, especially at the even the Bantam WHL draft out this way, OHL draft, they should try their best to understand what you just said there, and it's not the end of the world. I wasn't drafted in the Dub, and I wasn't drafted in the NHL, but still was able to have a 9-year
What does
career.
that tell you right there? That's amazing.
Didn't get to play in the NHL, but made the Ottawa Senators training camp, right? So you can get close anyways if you don't get drafted. And I mean, there's tons of guys that are undrafted, especially the college route, um, and they play in the NHL.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah. No,
yeah,
listen, I'm seeing kids who go the university route now, Canadian university, who are getting shots to play pro. So there's no right way to do it. Um, Again, I was fortunate enough that it worked out for me, but getting drafted, all these things are just stepping stones, and shouldn't discourage you if you don't get drafted. That's really the bottom line.
for sure. And just keep pushing out. I mean, it's just another thing of adversity and someone telling you that you're not good enough. And
Happens all the time.
yeah, exactly. And you don't take it too personally. You really just turn that mental switch and push harder with your workouts and your practicing on ice
Yes, absolutely.
and more time towards it. Yeah. So with the OHL, like London Knights, who else was on that team that you played with?
We had John Carlson, we had Kadri, Verone, there was Zach Ronaldo. We had such a great team.
Sounds like
We
you had
ended
everything tough, and
out,
guys that
yeah,
can skate and guys that can score. You had everything.
we ended up losing to Windsor in the semifinals, which was ultimately the finals. They went on to win it, but what a great team we had that year. And again, me having a simple role compared to other guys on that team, sometimes I played with the top guys because the coaches knew that I would give the puck to the goal scorers. I would protect them when they're out there. They didn't have to worry about their top guys getting hurt. And even though my role was small, it was still important. So just because you weren't a goal scorer, it doesn't mean anything. There's so many roles on a team, and we
Yeah,
were a complete team. We had it all. So
yeah. So that was in the finals of the OHL, or was that Mem Cup?
was it Mem Cup? Windsor actually went on to win the Mem Cup. Windsor and us being the Knights, we were just such strong teams that year. So unfortunately, we didn't go on, but we had a great series with Windsor.